Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Bordertown Strange. I'm Pam, and my co-host Jess couldn't be here, but with me tonight are friends and members of Bordertown Paranormal Society. We have Mark Bannon, Enzo Cyril, and Scotty Rademacher. So together, we are going to take you into the heart of Kentucky's most haunted corridor called the Land Between the Lakes. So before we get started, we do want to go with our what the weird word. So give me just a second and I'll get it pulled up here. Say that, and it's going to take me a hot minute, huh?
Professional broadcast.
There we go.
Getting used to the new technology.
Yes, I switched some things around, so I'm having fun actually switching things around, I guess is how you would say that. So our what the weird word tonight, it's hologlint. And hologlint is a brief, unnatural flash of light seen in dense forests, ravines, or abandoned homestead sites. It's the kind of light that doesn't behave like a flashlight, a firefly, or anything that has a switch. And folklore says that a hologlint is the moment when something hidden in the dark accidentally reveals itself, and it's usually by the shine of its eyes. Some traditions claim hologlints are caused by non-human watchers, entities that don't step into the open but can't help from peeking from the tree lines. Others say they're residual energy left over from places where people have lived, died, or vanished. And in the stranger corners of Appalachia, folks whisper that hologlints are the first sign that you're being followed by something that doesn't want to be seen. And if you've ever been to the Land Between the Lakes, you're going to know exactly why this word fits tonight. If you've never been, by the end of the evening, you'll understand why I chose that word. But the LBL is full of stories about glowing eyes that are too high to be deer, orbs skimming the water, and lights that flicker between the trees like they're alive. And campers talk about waking up to a dozen tiny sparks staring back at them from the brush. And hunters describe flashes of red or amber that vanishes the second that they raise a light to it. That's what a hologlint is. It's that split-second shimmer that tells you that you're not alone out there. So the next time you're walking on a dark trail and you catch a quick, silent flash from the woods, don't assume it's a reflection and don't assume it's the trick of an eye, a trick of the eye. You might have just seen a hologlint, and whatever made it might still be watching you. So, yo, exactly. Let me drop that. So, I'll just leave it up. It's easier than trying to drop it right now. Just to get us started tonight, we are talking about, again, Land Between the Lakes, and it's somewhere out there. It's between Lake Kentucky and Lake Barkley. And people say some of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight, I'll kind of skim over here. People say that there's a ghostly man in a wide-brimmed hat that wanders the tree line. He never speaks, he never turns, and he just watches as if he's been standing there for like 100 years, just waiting for somebody to notice him. But if you keep driving, you might hear things before you see it. And it's like, sometimes you'll hear the low rumble of a phantom truck that has been talked about barreling down the trace with its headlights blazing. And it's a truck that has chased more than one traveler into the dark. And as you keep going deeper into the Land Between the Lakes, you may run into eyes that glow from the underbrush. It's too high, again, for an animal or too still for it to be a person. Gravestones that show up where there shouldn't be any cemeteries. And something massive moves between the trees. And it's something that has the shape of a man, the posture of a predator, and the feel of a legend. And some call it the beast of LBL. Others call it a werewolf or a dogman. And then there are the lights that drift and pulse and skim the water like they're alive. And there's the stories of a place that locals whisper about only in the daytime, a place that they call the Vampire Hotel. But tonight we're stepping straight into that world, the one that locals will warn you about, and the one where the line between the living and the dead gets thin enough to feel like you can just tear right through it. So settle in, because tonight we're taking you deep into the stories that have shaped this place, the encounters, the sightings, the legends, and the mysteries that keep the Land Between the Lakes one of America's most unsettling corridors of high strangeness. So as we get started, Mark, can you kind of talk about what is the Land Between the Lakes? Can you kind of set the stage for us?
Okay, so Land Between the Lakes, or the LBL, as a lot of people call it, is 170,000 plus acre federal recreation area in a long peninsula between Kentucky Lake and Lake Barkley. It straddles western Kentucky and Tennessee, and the official site lists it as one of the largest contiguous blocks of undeveloped forests in the eastern United States. And it's just got so much stuff weird going on. The weirdness of LBL tends to come from 4 overlapping ingredients. We have displaced communities, flooded land, old family cemeteries, and remote forest roads. And, you know, the official fact from LBL says that there are more than 270 known cemeteries inside the LBL. There's the remnants of communities, small towns, villages that existed before Kentucky Lake and Lake Barkley were built. And I believe that was a WBA or whatever project.
WPA. Yeah.
WPA.
Yep. It sure was. It was created by the TVA, which is the Tennessee Valley Authority, like Mark was talking about in the 60s. And there is a long history of missing hikers, strange lights, and these creature sightings. So when we chose this one for tonight, decided to do it, I was like, oh, this will be fun. And then I have so much stuff pulled up on this. I'm like, we're never going to get through it all. But that's okay. I'd rather have too much than not enough. And again, Jess isn't here tonight, so we won't have the notebook games at the end. But what I did do was pull a bunch of trivia. So we're going to do a trivia night and give Jess a break from having to do it tonight. Enzo, you're muted. Did not hear you. Did you say something?
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
I think his soundboard died.
Ah, now I know what it is.
There you go.
When you have multiple ways to mute, it's always the wrong one that you think it is. It's a mess.
It is. And hi, Tony. We're looking at the chats to see who's in there. Hi, Ian. So yeah, this should be a fun one tonight. And Scotty's here with us tonight. He isn't always here with us, but it's always fun when he comes. He has been out near the area, and you were telling us a little bit, Scotty, about Red Dirt Cryptid's going to head out that way soon. Or not?
No, he's muted.
Or is he froze? He might be frozen. Okay.
Maybe frozen.
I'm not sure. That's okay. We'll come back. We'll talk about it later. And there's Sharon. Hi, Sharon. So to get us kicked off tonight, let's talk about, what do you guys want to talk about first? There's so many avenues we could hit here.
Well, I think the big elephant in the room is the beast.
The beast of the LBL. Dun, dun, dun.
That's the story. When you pull it up online, that's what immediately pops up.
It is.
Yep.
Okay. So I was going to pitch this at Scotty. I think we will wait because he seems to be having some issues there. Yep. Okay. Hopefully he makes it back.
You want me to give a brief rundown on what the basic legend is?
Yeah, I will. And there's actually an origin to this legend too, which I thought was pretty cool because I didn't find it right off the bat, but when I did, I just knew we couldn't pass it up. So long before the land between the lakes was a recreation area, and before the lakes were dammed, before the towns were emptied, this stretch of wilderness, it was already known for having something strange in it. I'm going to move this so I'm not staring.
So let's just make it a recreational area.
Yeah, why not? And it was known for its strangeness, and it was something that didn't fit neatly into the world that people understood. So these tales go clear back to this beast, to the 1700s, to French fur traders that were the first to actually write about it. They described a creature that stalked the forest between the rivers that was like a half man, half wolf, that it walked upright, and it had a howl that sounded like nothing they'd ever heard before. They did call it a loup-garou, which is a werewolf, a shapeshifter, and a predator that in all of the lore, it watches from the shadows and then attacks. But over the centuries, these stories never stopped. You had settlers, hunters, campers, and rangers now all reporting that there's something really large, really fast, and impossibly silent that's moving through the trees. And it's something with glowing eyes, and it doesn't behave like a bear or a big cat. So it's an interesting origin for it. And I found a little bit more on that too, that there was supposedly a family of French werewolves that's said to be descendants of the Gevaudan. I know I said that wrong. Gevaudan beast bloodline that allegedly inhabits the area. And that a French general from that region that fought with the Americans during the Revolutionary War and was granted land, that he brought 15 male family members with him from France. And that apparently these are supposed to be the bloodline that all of this beast of LBL comes from. So it's kind of a interesting start to all of that. You don't usually hear so specific of a background on a story like that.
No, you
Family
don't.
of French werewolves. That's not on anybody's radar at all. When you start
Right?
thinking about these stories.
No. But it would explain all the sightings, and maybe it's not one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's-
It makes sense if it's like a whole, what do you call wolves? Not a clan, a
pack.
pack. There we go. Duh. Yeah.
What do you
Be
call
like-
pack wolves?
But, and there's tons of stories about this beast. But one of the most interesting stories was the C. Martin Groves story. And if you guys, anytime you want to jump in, feel free to. Otherwise, I'll just keep going. So Martin Groves, he is a retired PD. He had been retired for 32 years from a local rural department. And in about 1993 or 94 is where this experience happened to him. He'd gone turkey hunting with a friend. And the first night that they were out, everything was fine. They didn't have any issues. And then the next day, they went searching for birds. And when they did this, they split up and they went their separate ways. And sometime in the late afternoon, he had a feeling that he was being followed, and he could hear movement and he could feel a presence. So he, at one point, started following the game trail back to his camp, and he saw out of the corner of his eye like 2 to 3 animals or something that were tailing him. So he continued on, and then he would hear a distinct knock in the woods, which we kind of think of Bigfoot when you hear the tree knocks and things. He was hearing these distinct knocks. He said it sounded kind of like an axe or something against a tree. And he thought maybe it was his partner. He was back at camp and he was knocking to call him in, And then he happened to see what he believed was a man in a ghillie suit. And he was like, okay, this isn't good, So he decides just to beeline it back. He makes it to camp and starts to hear whistles. They're like a really shrill, very human-like. And he thought it was his partner trying to get him again back into the camp. And his partner was shook when he got there. There was something that was showing up around the camp. He was hearing these whistles and knocks or rocks being clamped on the ground. His buddy was, and they felt really pressured to get out of there, So all the light that they had was from the campfire and a lantern, and they could only see about 15 feet in front of them. But they would see shadows, and they would notice what looked like a person standing behind a tree. And then a tree branch was thrown, and then a rock came thrown and was landed right between them. And they were only standing like 5 or 10 feet apart, and this rock landed right between them. So they immediately got their firearms out, and it was so scary. It was dark. They had limited vision. And then they start hearing a growl that was coming from the direction that the shadow person had been standing. So it was such a low frequency that it vibrated in their chests. And so it wasn't a bear, it wasn't a boar. And this guy is retired PD from the area. He had never heard a growl like this. And could you imagine the fear that would overtake you if you felt something, loud enough, deep enough to vibrate inside of you? I would die. He said, go ahead.
Besides being PD, I mean, he was obviously a hunter, and those. I know for a fact that if there is any critter out there, I'm going to run into it eventually. So I've been up close and personal to bobcats and mountain lions, raccoons, you know, skunks.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to be around. You're going to run into it, and so for him to run into something he didn't know, that's pretty significant.
It is.
Yeah.
And this poor guy, he was terrified, and he's like, he obviously he gets scared. Everybody gets scared, but he was so afraid. He was paralyzed. And he said his words were, he felt like he was a 5-year-old child that was scared of a monster in the dark. And he could see his partner was completely frozen, that his shoulders were slumped. And the partner's like, I'm not feeling well. He just had a really low, intense, awful, feeling of ickiness. And then out of the left side of his peripheral vision, Martin sees movement. And he's like, he took a step. As soon as that happened, it like broke the spell. So he takes a step, and he felt like when he did that, he gained his freedom. And he saw what was not a man or an animal that he had ever seen was coming towards him. It was like an upright walking wolf. It was large, it was huge, and it was walking right toward him. He pulled his firearm, he fired 2 shots, and the animal responded to the firearm. It was intelligent, and it moved, and it went backward before he fired. So, and he said when it did, it leapt more than any human, anything that he could, with his human understanding, could figure out. It jumped to a high rock and then up over a high ridge that was way above them and was just gone. So, when he's firing his weapon, his partner's discharging in the opposite direction, and they began, to cover each other and walk back to the truck. And he got in the back of the pickup truck, and the partner started it. The partner jumped in the driver's seat, and he said directly in front of him, when he's in the back of the truck, there were these 2 huge figures. And one was what he had thought was the man in the ghillie suit, but it was not a man in a ghillie suit. It was either a dog man or a wolf. And he flat stated that. It had to be one or the other. And what was in the light, he could see from the truck. It was even 2 to 3 foot taller than the one that he had fired on in the camp. So there was obviously more, than just these couple of that they were seeing. And so he starts, thinking, are they working together, or are they like guiding this dog man to them, or were they trying to actually protect him and his partner from this dog man? They didn't know. But this poor dude, this encounter changed his life completely. And since like 93, 94, when this happened, his story has not changed at all. And his particular story, it's a really important story too, because it really brings credibility to this phenomenon that kind of had it, I don't want to say overall lacking, but it did lack some. You hear stories, you don't know how credible all of the witnesses are, but then you have somebody that's retired law enforcement, and his life has been so altered, completely changed since this happened. It's just insane. But of all of these stories I saw about this particular creature, the Beast of LBL, that was the one that really stood out to me, was the sea martin groves. So
yeah, and there's a lot of Bigfoot-like sightings out there, and the dogman sightings. Sometimes I wonder if the dogman sightings are Bigfoots that's wearing like a wolf skin or something over their head, and or maybe it is really werewolves.
Yeah, or we've ran across Bigfoot stories, in our area that we've always called Bigfoot because that's all we knew to call them. That we're thinking back now may possibly have been a dogman clear back in the 80s.
Because the dogmen seem to be a little more aggressive,
and they have claws, and they use them.
than your Bigfoot stories.
Yeah. Scotty, are you with us?
I think so. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
We can hear you.
Yay.
All right.
Do you want to jump in on the Beast of LBL?
Yeah. So you were talking about Barton Groves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. His story is very interesting, considering it's like it happened in 93, 94, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so over the course of so many years, his story hasn't changed. I mean, it's
No.
remained consistent. He hasn't changed it. He's sticking by his story.
Mhm.
Um, I would love to meet the guy someday. I think it would be something to meet him and talk to him personally. But
Yeah, because what I was reading, everybody that has talked to him, they're like 100%, he's not making this up. You can tell how affected he is by the entire thing.
yeah,
And he won't go
and
out and anymore.
right, and what makes his story a lot more credible, I think, than some people is the training that he has had in law
Yeah.
enforcement, and he's trained to see things and witness, and I don't know, comprehend more things than some people are.
Mhm.
So
Well, he's also had training in how to uh, talk about what he's seen
Report. Yeah.
on reporting.
Yeah.
So
Being a professional observer, where you're not fleshing it out with "and fire came from its eyes and I knew it was evil," or you don't do any of that stuff. Just the facts, just exactly what you saw. Don't
Mhm.
try and interpret the story as it's going. Just stick to the facts.
Mhm. And he does a very good job at doing that, even down to this is how we covered each other to get back to the truck. And, this is what I observed and this is how I observed it. And yeah, he's very,
yeah,
very,
and he won't go back to the woods. So I mean,
no, he'll walk out
Tough
to a
call.
certain spot, but beyond that point, he won't go. He will not move on. So yeah.
That is a tough call. If you had an experience like that, you're either going to be one of those people that's like, I ain't ever going out in the woods ever again,
Yeah.
or I need to go out in the woods again to experiences to try and get a document, take witnesses, take pictures, to capture it,
right.
to do something, to kind of justify it to yourself and to the non-believers, that kind of thing.
Yeah. He has no desire at all. And he's a lifelong hunter. That's his
That's
stomping
how he
ground.
relaxed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Nope.
That
Nothing
doesn't sound very
relaxing.
relaxing, does it?
No, nothing relaxing. Dude's seen some stuff, so he's done with it. He's seen enough to know it's real and you don't want to see it anymore.
Yeah, I get it. That's
Mhm.
For the land between the lakes, just as it is, it's kind of like it's considered like the largest inland peninsula in the United States because of the way the lakes kind of wrap around it.
yeah.
It's very isolated. There are bridges that go across at a couple spots, but for the most part, specifically for wildlife, there's this very large area that's completely surrounded by large bodies of water. So
Mhm.
whatever's living out there is unique to
Yeah.
everything else.
And this map that I pulled up, this is what they were proposing in the 60s. They were like, if we do this, we'll bring all these vacationers to Kentucky and I'll get this great big boost to tourism and all these things. And so they ousted over 800 people from their homes, and not just from their home, but from their family homesteads that they had been on for generations, some of them. And, like Mark was talking about at the beginning, there was quite a few really small communities that were ousted. There's over 270.
270 known cemeteries.
Yeah. And those are family cemeteries and community cemeteries. They just left them there. And people can still be buried at those. But what my point is on all this is they just completely uprooted these families and we're like, okay, we're just going to take this over. We're going to make all this tourism. We're going to bring all this money in for Kentucky. And they did all these things, sunk all this money into it. And the tourism dollars never showed. The people
it turned
didn't come.
into a flop.
It was a huge flop.
Yeah.
So if you look on here, you can see between the lakes, you can see where it's got like forestry and game management and sanctuaries and big game ranges and all this stuff. And then Mark's got a great one here. Let me pull his up. Oh, I got to drop mine. Hang on. There we go. That's what it looks like today.
So not much different. Just
because it's really like back in the 1800s, it was like the land between the rivers, I think is even what they call it, where you can see on the north end there where you see a couple of rivers come in, they wound their way around it, but then they dammed them up to, for, as you do, you get a lot more lake area than you can out of just a river. And it's, people lost their homes for nothing. And that's kind of always the case when it comes to any kind of damming type dam project, I guess, or
like a dam project, DAM.
Where there's going to be a lot of loss, to include, even going back to what they did over the pyramids of Egypt at a local dam project that apparently has flooded out a lot of those underground catacombs and stuff like that. It just there's always something that gets buried under the water.
Oh, look what they did in China with the Ganges Dam.
Yeah.
Entire towns and cities are under, some of them thousands of years old, that doesn't matter. We're going to do this. They didn't even bother trying to rescue any of it.
No, I wanted to make sure we got this in here too. These were the families at the time. And again, the TVA is the Tennessee Valley Authority. And they were the ones that got the green light to oust everybody from their homes. I felt so sorry for them. You can tell they're not well-off people anyway, number one. You can tell they don't have a lot of money. And they're losing everything that they have at that point. Their family homes. And
I'm sure they were not compensated well.
No,
probably not.
Not at all. They were allowed to continue to use the cemeteries, their family cemeteries and things, but they sure weren't allowed to live there or,
and then not even flooded out. A lot of them were just made to leave. They were living out here in this area out in between. Oh no, we need that for the parkland. So you got to leave. You're out.
Yeah. Yeah. And how would you feel? Okay, you can't live here, but we're going to let everybody and their dog come in and take on your, where your house was.
Your lawn,
to get like into like the 411 style conspiracy stuff about national parks and wetland areas where they basically evacuate a very specified area and designate it. This is a park area where you can't build certain things and no towns and all this other stuff. But you can temporarily go in and out. It's kind of a lot of that same talk and chatter leading up to that.
It's cool that you say that, Enzo, because that is something that I ran across, and I think it was just in some YouTube comments, actually. They were talking about it. It seemed like the area was being made inhospitable on purpose. That, they were doing everything they could to keep people to not want to come there. And what's scary about this area now is there's not a lot of cell phone coverage out there. There's not networks. Even the police repeaters don't work well in that area. And nobody seems to know, why at this point. It's just been left to rot pretty much. And it's got this huge reputation for being lawless at this point. You aren't allowed to carry firearms in, but there's also only a very small number of law enforcement that are patrolling it at any given time. I want to say that they had it down to like less than 4, and that was for 24-hour coverage for this whole area. It's like how many thousands of acres? Yeah.
And they initially intended for it to be a hunting area.
Yeah.
Right.
But now you can't have guns there.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah.
So, and Enzo mentioned the 411 stuff. It's got a lot of stuff. It's got a lot of the stuff that makes a missing 411 area. So you got, of course, proximity to water. It's literally surrounded by water on 3 sides. Number one geographical marker for the Pilates list there. He's got a zone of silence. Many people who survive close encounters or get briefly lost in LBL report a sudden unnatural silence. The birds, insects, and wind completely dies out right before something strange happens. Search and rescue dogs routinely lose scent trails cleanly, sometimes acting terrified or refusing to track into specific areas.
Yep.
And then there's bizarre terrain anomalies. Victims, especially children, are often found miles away in rugged uphill locations that should have been physically impossible for them to navigate to in the time frame given. So
Yeah.
they do have missing 411 stuff there.
Yeah, they do. They
Quite
do.
a bit.
And, you know, some of the things that I was seeing on the missing 411, they're talking about, you know, there's so many unreported or unnoticed people that when they're gone, nobody really knows for sure. It's like fringe of society kind of people, you know, they go in and they'll camp or they'll live for extended periods of times and then they'll just disappear. And there has been a lot of abandoned campsites that are found where, you know, the tent's there, you can tell it's been there a long time. It's like caved in on one side or, you know, it's there, everything's covered in leaves. And when these sites are posted online, people will go back in a few days and that area will be completely cleaned up and gone, like it was never there to begin with. And
that's the like creepiest part about a lot of the LBL stories is, like you say, because all the things we've already talked about, it's geographically isolated from the rest of the countryside around it because of the lakes and everything else. It's kind of run down. It was built up as this big place that nobody went for whatever reason. And as I understand it, when they originally did all those different campsites and parks, they were really nice.
Yeah.
But nobody would go to it for whatever reason. But now it is, like you say, not that well patrolled. There's not that many people that go in there to spend a lot of time for the larger part of it. There still are active campsites here and there. Don't get us wrong. It's not like it's completely abandoned place, but it's very easy for people that are down on their luck and that are, the hobo or vagrant class that needs a nice, quiet, free place to stay, can get a basic tent or just a garbage bag even to keep the rain off of them and live out there for a while. Nobody will even notice.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And Tony has a good point. She said, maybe someone who was ousted cursed the land on their way out. It's interesting that you say that because I ran across a quote that I thought really spoke volumes. And it's like the bitterness has soaked into the land. And that is what it feels. You know, there were so many family members that were just kicked out of their homes. Yeah. It's very possible. Especially when you get to messing with the Appalachian people, you know, you don't want to do that.
No.
It's not within your best interest.
It is not uncommon for a curse to be thrown around here or there with some of those folks too.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of sounds like one of the people, the hill folk, and these stories were being told when people lived there too. You know, these things were happening when people lived there as well. The lights, the apparitions, the beasts, those were all talked about while the families were populating the area too. So, Scotty, anytime you want to jump in, just jump on in. We'll just keep mowing through.
Yeah, I was gonna actually mention that quote that you were talking about the bitterness that soaked the land. Yeah, just the way that things are handled with the family, it's no wonder it is the way it is. I just can't imagine just being kicked off your land after you've lived there for so many years and
generations. Yeah.
Right. And you receive fair compensation for your land. I mean,
pennies on the dollar, in other words.
Right.
And that's the thing. They knew they could get away with it because these people didn't have the money for lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So, of course they did.
If they'd had lawyers, they would have taken somebody to the cleaners because that was definitely an abuse of eminent domain
Oh,
And by that point in history, we'd already had enough people complaining about all that something would have gotten done. But these people had no money, they had no voice, definitely no
Yep.
lawyers, and so they were
Yeah.
just screwed, and they were
Yeah.
screwed over hard.
For that part of the country, especially back in those days, it was basically subsistence living for a lot of those folks. They're probably growing their own crops, and living off the land. A lot of that, your classic Jed Clampett style of existence out there of just and honestly, they kind of like it that way. They kind of that for a lot of people.
I know people who would
wouldn't have
pay
any other way.
good money to live that way.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Definitely.
But as you say, if this was a Google data center that they wanted to flood or whatever, no way. They'd be wrapped up for 100 years in the courts.
Yeah.
But these folks who may not have even had a vehicle and were happy with that too, just kicked right up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're talking about sorry, go ahead.
I mean,
I was just going to mention in the 1800s when they had the iron ore industry in there, in that area, and then there was that slave revolt that was there in the 1800s that was very bloody.
Yeah.
And that was before all this. So, and that's the reason why the people that live there were seeing this stuff long before. So, it's nothing new.
And if you move on beyond that, even you've got Native Americans that were displaced when white men started moving in, and that's something that I was going to bring up was the fact some of these guys were talking about in like the YouTube comments, my grandparents or great grandparents, they grew up there, they lived there, and they told stories about this, and that there are many Native American burial grounds located throughout that peninsula too, on top of everything else.
well, yeah, even before they made them into lakes, it was a very good spot for, wildlife and hunting and fishing. It was already forested.
Mm-hmm.
The lakes really weren't necessary to do what they intended to do. So it seems odd. Because they already had what they needed, there were rivers there, so there was fishing, there was hunting, all kinds of game. There was no reason to displace anyone.
No, there wasn't. Which brings you back to the question: why? Why did they make this? Why did they displace these people? What was the? Did they pose a threat? I don't think they did. But they were just in the way, weren't they? They were in the way of whatever the government was trying to do.
Yeah, they were living too peacefully out there in the woods. I mean, living off the land and self-sufficient. We can't have that. I mean,
it's hard to
obviously a danger to national security.
That's right.
And it boils down to it's hard to control people who are self-sufficient.
Yeah,
you can't take away. They don't have any bank accounts to freeze. You can't take away their access to food because they feed themselves.
Yeah.
So
the best that you can do is get them out of their comfortableness, their comfortable life, and
get them in government housing where you can make them do whatever you want.
That sucks.
I just went down a rabbit hole. I'm sorry.
You did. That got dark real quick.
I didn't mean to. Didn't get dark and bring everybody down.
Of course, well, to swing it back to the paranormal conspiracy theory, the idea for doing that, as we've already mentioned, that it's this very isolated peninsula now, that it was intentionally done to trap whatever lives, what mysterious creatures live out there, and isolate them to just that. So they can't necessarily go in and kill them all, but they can certainly contain them, is one of the ideas.
That's interesting thought on it.
Yeah, that's different.
Not really opposed to that either. That kind of,
it's just I'm just saying that's just an observation that other people have certainly made, and I could sort of see that. where it's like, we got this crazy Wolfman thing, apparently that speak French, and there's a whole family of them out there, that if we can physically isolate them and contain them to this little area, they're not, that we don't have to go hunt them all down. And
If there were really a bunch of werewolves living out there, the government would have caught them and weaponized them.
Sure. Well,
who's to say they haven't?
There are some people say that that's exactly what they did.
Well, I mean, I've watched Operation Metal Beast. This is a really bad movie, but it was so bad it was good.
So kind of moving on. Do we have any more we want to talk about the beast itself, the beast of the LBL?
No,
Did we miss anything?
I think we
How often do those sightings pop up? I mean, I know there was a bunch of stuff, because we didn't really talk about the big massacre story.
Oh, we didn't. You're right.
Yeah.
I think we should probably. That's kind of like the one thing that everybody kind of knows about it.
Well, just some of the stories that I've got as far as like dates when something was seen. So, like in 1979, there was an alleged attack by a wolf-like creature, and then in 1982, there was a family of 4 that was supposedly attacked by a wolf-like creature again. And then in 1984, there was like a bipedal wolf beast spotted at Hotel California there. And then 1991, there was a family that was attacked by a wolf-like creature. 2002, there was another camper that was seen a werewolf-like creature by his campsite, and then another one in 2016 of a bipedal in a camping area. 2017, 2 campers came up missing under mysterious circumstances. That's 2019. There was a family that was bluff charged through trees. 2020, an upright wolf-like creature seen crossing the trail of the elk bison prairie. So that's just like some of them. And I would venture to say that there's probably a lot more cases that we just don't know about. And that's generally speaking, that's exactly what happens. There's just so many cases and they don't get reported. Nobody talks about it. These are just some of the ones that have been documented and talked about. And, we run into the same thing in Oklahoma and Kansas. It's always the same story. You only hear about maybe a quarter of them, if that. So
Brian Terrell effect is what we call it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So true. But yeah, the whole massacre thing is a really interesting thing, and it's never been proven that it actually has happened. But then again, it hasn't actually been proven that it didn't happen.
No, it hasn't.
You hear different people talk about it. This person said that, and at this point, it's more just like an urban legend to me.
It is.
But who knows? Maybe someday we'll actually know
somewhere,
right?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
There's not like a police report or anything like that out there that's
there's no
family found dead or anything like that.
No newspaper articles, no police report, no official records.
Right.
So, yeah.
Now there was a pair of unsolved murders back in 1980, but there's no evidence that it was a werewolf or what have you. That was the Carla Atkins and Vicky Stout, whose remains were found in the LBL in 1980. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there were some murders.
Yeah.
But that's as close as you can get to any kind of anything you can point to on that.
I know that
one that I thought was kind of interesting on this one. There were some guys, I guess, that were out there as tombstone raiders or like robbers, I guess. Yeah, I know, right? Go figure. So But anyways, the story has that they were actually chased by a wolf-like creature that was chasing them on two legs. I don't know have any dates or anything on it, but that brings up the question because a lot of these sightings with this dog-like creature has been associated with cemeteries.
Mhm.
So with so many cemeteries in that area, it would almost make sense that they're in there.
Protecting
You
more
know, as
than,
like they're like the watchers of the cemeteries.
yeah.
Um, you know, there's that one video of that so-called dog-like creature that was digging in the cemetery.
Yeah.
That one's really strange. I mean, so I don't know.
You
I
guys run
think when
across
I go out there,
kind of a
I
thing,
think when I
isn't
go
it?
out there, right? I think when I go out there next month, it should be really interesting, and hopefully, when I get back, I have a lot of stories to tell with the guys from Red Dirt. And,
Talk about that a little bit. We
If you get back,
you
we need stories.
so yeah.
right,
If we
right.
get back, is that what you said?
If I get back, right? Yeah, I'll be the urban legend. I'm good.
Oh, oh.
That's right.
Yeah,
Dog man is going to get you.
Got an eye patch, a scar. It's like,
right.
Got the 3.
Yeah,
Oh, I double
yeah.
dog
We
dare you to get a fake scar and an eye patch and come back on the show. I just got back from the LBL.
with 3 claw marks going down the
Right.
side of the face. Yeah.
Goodness. There has been, there's been bodies found out there not too far in the past. I know that, we talked about it being kind of a lawless area too. That really got bad after COVID. That's really when they cut down on the number of rangers and more people went into the woods at that point, and a lack of law was taking place out there. In fact, one of them that stood out to me, one of the bodies that was found, it was found in Colson Hollow, and it was found floating in a tote on the water. Did you hit that? Did you see that one?
Yeah, that's almost like a mafia hit.
Right?
Throw the body in a tote and let it float. I mean, I don't know.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy anyway for that to happen, but oh goodness. So
Yeah.
okay, so far that's all the stuff that I ran across on the actual beast of the LBL, or let me rephrase that. That's where I stopped because there is a lot on it. Does anybody else have anything they want to add to the beast portion of that?
No, but maybe they're living in the abandoned bunkers out there.
Bunkers.
Bunkers, yes. There's TNT bunkers out there from the Kentucky Ordnance Works.
TNT bunkers with strange creatures around them.
Sounds very
like a nice story.
Yeah. Yeah, something about Point Pleasant, maybe.
That's right.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the Mothman sightings came from the old TNT area there around Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's interesting. That would be a fun one, especially so Scotty, when you come back, that would be fun to have you back and kind of talk about what you saw or what you guys experienced, because you're going to spend a few days out that way. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's 4 or 5 days.
Shoot video.
So, yeah.
Lots of video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tons of video.
Yeah, we're going to be in like 2 different groups because we're splitting up because there's like 9 of us, I think. So
Cool.
we're going to be in smaller groups and we're going to cover more area and
Watch out
hopefully
for
come
these-
back with something. I don't know. Maybe I'll just get a pet dog man,
So-
bring him back with me.
Splitting up always seems to be the way these
sure.
horror movies start out.
It's
Well,
always
there's-
worked.
Bad idea.
Yeah. Well, there's going to be like 4 or 5 of us in each group. So, it's not like there's going to be like 2 of us in a group. So, and we're gonna remain in contact with each other, so we're not gonna, be
Yeah.
running off by ourselves somewhere, and so I mean, we always work
Are,
well together. We always
We know
communicate
you'll
with
be
each other and
safe.
stay in touch. So, yeah.
are you going whole hog with like night vision gear and thermal stuff and
Well,
silver
yeah,
bullets, that kind
yeah,
of.
silver bullets, at least a couple dozen of them things, I think. So,
Machetes.
So wear a ghillie suit
yeah,
because they may
yeah,
think you're one of them.
yeah. And I think while we're out there, we're going to set up a big screen and we're going to watch the movie Silver Bullet. That
There you
would be a
go.
good deal.
That was a terrible movie. I loved it.
Yeah, I
Oh,
did too.
so
From
last
behind you
night,
in the tree line, you hear them just laughing. This is like, that's not how it goes. It's crazy. They're rooting for
Right.
the monster. Yeah.
last
Yeah.
night on our Amok podcast, we had a guy named Dennis Vincent, who is a producer, and then one of the actors, his name is Brian Clark. They did Mark of the Werewolf that came out in 2025. Extremely campy, incredibly. If you like artsy, campy, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I had to watch it after the show last night. So if you guys want something really good and campy, it's on Tubi right now. Mark of the Werewolf. It is phenomenal. It is that good. I died laughing through the whole thing. It was great.
Got the little star on your hand.
Yeah, the camp is intentional and the art feel to it is intentional. So yeah, it's great.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, loved it.
I love campy ass crap like that.
Oh, dude, it's like think of the type of costumes like the creature from the Black Lagoon, where you could pretty much see the zipper in it, right? It's
Oh,
kind
no.
of kind of
Not
that. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's great. I loved
Those
it.
are the best. Those are the best.
Those are the best. Very cool dude too. Both of them are really nice.
I don't dig the gory stuff, but I love that campy crap.
Yeah,
That's-
this wasn't really gory at all. It was just very campy.
No.
So if anybody wants something to watch, check that out it's on Tubi right now. It's on Prime too, but it's free on Tubi.
You know what they use for blood in a lot of those old movies, don't you? Cherry
syrup.
fountain syrup.
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking Cairo syrup.
No, cherry fountain syrup
Really interesting.
because it's nice and red on camera
Yikes.
and it flows. It's thick, but it still flows out real good.
For the old black and white, like the movie Psycho, where you see the stuff swirling down the drain. That I think that was chocolate syrup that he used for that.
Oh,
Just 'cause
yeah, you wouldn't be able to know
one
it.
of that dark contrasting thing for a black and white movie. It's
Yeah.
cheap and it's readily available. You can get that. So
Just
That's
run down to the grocery store when you run out.
that's it.
Okay, let's move on a little bit. So not only do we have the beast of Land Between the Lakes, we've also got ghosts and apparitions and things. And I ran across a couple that really stood out to me. Did you guys find any?
I don't really have a lot of whole ghost stuff. I know that there's ghost towns.
There's a ton of ghost towns, yeah, for sure.
Someone under the water.
Yeah. So there's a couple of them. One of them is the woman in the white dress, and she's from Golden Pond, which was one of the little ghost towns there. And apparently she walks the old road beds near what used to be Golden Pond. And there's it's not the modern visitor center that's near there, but the actual real town of Golden Pond. And it's set deeper into the woods where, now the pavement ends and it just turns into undergrowth. So you have to go clear on back through that to find it. But witnesses describe her as pale, almost luminous, wearing a long white dress that looks like it belongs to another era. And she moves slowly with her head bowed as if she's following a path that she's walked 1,000 times. So she's really the epitome of the woman in white, that you hear all.
Stereotypical woman in white story.
Yes. One witness said he saw her while he was driving the back roads at dusk. She stepped out of the tree line and onto the cracked asphalt ahead of him, and he braked really hard, scared him. He thought he hit this woman. excuse me. But when he looks up and back, she's already gone. There's no sound. There's no movement. It's just him in the woods again. And then there was a pair of hikers that reported seeing her from a distance, and she's just drifting along the road, kind of like she was in on a mission to get somewhere. They called out thinking that she might be lost. She didn't respond. She didn't even turn her head or anything. And when they jogged to catch up to her, she vanished. It's like she took one step, and then the next step she would have taken, she just dissolved into the air like a mist. But the interesting part about this is dogs refuse to go past the spot where she's been most often seen. They'll plant their feet, they'll growl really low, and they'll just stare at the empty road like there's something there that the owners can't see. So pretty much the
That's
epitome.
always creepy when the dogs behave like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Right. Let's see.
And then there's the Civil War soldier that is seen around Fort Henry. Fort Henry, it doesn't exist anymore, but where it used to be, it's now underwater. It was swallowed up by Kentucky Lake when the river was dammed up, but the land around it, is obviously still there. And so there's that. I don't want to say feeling, but just the energy is still there. In February of 1862, the Tennessee River, it rose really fast, and the fort was already half flooded when Union gunboats arrived. And so the Confederate soldiers tried to flee, but the water was too high, the mud was too deep, and there was just so much chaos. Some of them drowned, some of them just vanished, and some were never found at all. And that's kind of where this legend grew up from. Visitors walking the shoreline near where the old fort site was, especially on a foggy night, they report seeing a lone figure just pacing the water's edge. And it's a man in a soaked Union uniform. And, his boots are covered in mud. He's got his rifle over his shoulder. And at first glance, he looks solid. And, like maybe he's a reenactor or something like that. But then the fog, as it moves, his outline will blur and his face will just fade away. And when they get up to where he was, there's no prints in the wet sand at all. One fisherman, yeah, isn't that cool? One fisherman said he saw the soldier standing in knee deep in the water, staring out across the lake as if he was like waiting on a boat that never came. And when the fisherman called out to him, the soldier actually turned, not fully, but enough to see, where he acknowledged, that he heard something. But it was enough that the fisherman could see like this pale, waterlogged face. And then it just dissolved into the mist. And there's been campers that have heard like a metallic clink of a rifle strap, the slosh of boots moving through shallow water, the low murmur of like a man talking to himself. And some swear they've heard a voice call out across the lake, "Hold the line." And the words they carry strangely as if it's coming from far away, but right beside them at the same time. So I thought that was interesting.
Have you seen the one about Cemetery Island? It's not really so much a ghost story.
Tell that one.
Okay, so Cemetery Island is a partially submerged cemetery on Kentucky Lake. And so in the winter, when the water gets low, it just kind of peaks out, and the tombstones like rise from the water as the water goes down.
Ooh.
So you can't help but feel like that would be a source for lots of creepy stories.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and this is a real place. This when the water gets low, this little strip of land comes up out of the water, and the tombstone just
like jagged teeth.
Yeah, it's like,
that's crazy.
So yeah, they didn't bother moving any. It's just I can see the ones on land that they didn't move, but the ones they knew was going to get flooded, that's just wrong. But you saw what they did at Caw Lake.
It's disrespectful. Yeah. So in case any of the listeners don't know what Mark's referring to, Caw Lake, Oklahoma, it's down by Newkirk, Oklahoma.
Yep.
And I don't remember what year it was. It was in the late 80s, I think, when they made that a lake. They dammed it up and made that a lake on the river.
It was before then because I was taking canoe trips down there.
Maybe it was the 80s that this happened then. I don't remember. I've got my dates mixed up, I'm sure. But at one point they had brought in a third-party company to move. There was like 2 major cemeteries, and they were Native American cemeteries. They weren't like Indian mounds, but they were more modern. Yeah, thank you. And they were supposed to move them to these other cemeteries. Well, what they found out later is they pretty much moved the headstones, and in most cases they moved skulls and not the rest of the bodies. And the only way that they found this out was and somewhere I have the article, and it's crazy. Someone saw they were on the lake in a boat, and up on the cliff they saw a bony foot with a blue rayon sock sticking out of the cliff. And that's when they realized that these bodies had not been moved, just the headstones. So they went back to the company that was supposed to have moved them. Well, they were defunct. They had filed bankruptcy, shut down, and were just gone in the wind. So there's nothing anybody could do. Yeah, Tony said she's been to Call Lake. Yeah. And that's one of the water sources, drinking water sources for which town is it? Is it part of Oklahoma City, maybe?
Ponca.
I can't remember. Oh, is it Ponca? Yeah, that's right.
Ponca City, yeah.
Ponca City's drinking water. Yeah. Ugh.
Oh, I've drank the water there. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a jump, hop, and a skip for me.
Yeah, it's not
too
far
far
from you at
from
all.
me. Yeah.
Goodness. But that is true. That really did happen. It's documented. There's photographs that have been taken of it. They are not online, thank goodness. But they were supposed to have put in a memorial down by the lake. And a few years ago, Jess and I had gone down there to see if we could find it, and we couldn't find the memorial at all. So we don't know if it was ever actually not done. We need to look into it more. But we never did find it. But that's the story when Mark talks about Call Lake. That stuff does happen, and it happened just right around us.
yep.
Crazy.
I have canoed on that lake or down to that lake many times. We get into the water down by, what was that, Union School? Well, I can't remember the name of that school. It's just south of town. And we'd get in down there and we'd float all the way to the lake. Take all day doing it.
Oh, wow. That sounds fun.
Worst sunburn of my life.
Bet.
Yeah, I had 3rd-degree sunburns on the inside of my ankles. The skin fell off before I got out of the boat.
Oh no. Oh, we
That
lost.
was bad. I scared him off with my ankle story.
That's it. Couldn't take it.
He's like, I'm out. I'm out.
Oh!
Okay, let's move on from the ghosts into the lights, the strange lights.
Phantom light.
Yes, there is a story. It's called The Blue Orbs of Energy Lake, which is interesting. And so Energy Lake, it's one of those places in the LBL. It really looks peaceful on the surface. You got your quiet coves, you've got really still water. And let me pull Scotty back in. There he is. You got quiet coves and still water and things like this, campsites that are tucked under tall pine trees. But then you talk to the fishermen that have spent long nights out there, and you'll hear a different story. They talk about like these blue orbs that are like floating spheres of light that skim across the surface of the lake, like they're alive, like they have consciousness. It's not just it comes up and moves. It comes up and actually does its own thing. Most sightings happen late at night when the water's really glassy and the sky's moonless, and a fisherman will be sitting in his boat listening to the water, and then all of a sudden a pale blue glow appears a few feet away, and at first it looks like a reflection, like maybe a star or something like that, or a distant boat, but then it moves, and it'll drift just above the water, no bigger than a baseball, and it glows with like a soft electric blue light. It doesn't leave a ripple, it doesn't disturb the water at all, and then without warning, it shoots straight upward and vanishes into the sky so fast that an eye can barely track it. So, there's one gentleman that said he watched 3 of them rise from the lake at once, and they spiraled around each other like fireflies before they streaked upward and disappeared. And then another one swore that he saw one hover near his boat, and it was pulsing gently like it was studying him, and he said the air felt charged like a moment before lightning strikes. And then you've got witnesses that describe a faint humming sound, like it's really low and steady and vibrating through the water. And others say that the lights seem to respond to movement, like they're drifting closer when someone is still and darting away when it's approached. Some people believe that it's ball lightning, but others think they're earth lights. And then there's the old timers who remember the stories back from before the lakes were created. And they think that the land beneath Energy Lake once held homesteads and graveyards and things. And they feel like those blue orbs are restless spirits or warnings or, even echoes of something ancient that was disturbed when the land was flooded. So there's some interesting theories about it. Some even claim that lights appear before storms. So,
Heard of more than a few stories of on the actual LBL properties itself, around the old campsites, of will-o'-the-wisp style orbs kind of floating amongst the trees.
Yeah.
You try and approach them, and they just go further in, like they're trying to, take you off the trail, that kind of thing. Classic will-o'-the-wisp stuff.
Yeah, it's very fey.
Well, and there's a lot of mineral deposits in that area too, if I remember correctly. Old mining sites.
Yep.
I'm not surprised. There's a lot of caves over in there. There's a lot of, geology wise, there's a lot of stuff going on over there.
There's a ton. You know what it reminds me of, though, when you think about balls coming out of the water and then shooting straight skyward, what does that make you think of?
I don't know. What are you talking about? What are you referencing?
UFOs or, things like that. These are very small scale, but it
Sure.
that feel, where it comes out and it shoots skyward.
There's plenty of stories. I don't recall. It's hard to research like UFO stuff and LBL because everything goes to Hopkinsville. The famous Hopkinsville goblin story, because that's only about 30 miles to the east of the LBL.
Yep.
So it's everything shunts over there. But it's still like that whole vicinity. Usually it's not so specific of an area, where it's usually a general area that has a lot of weirdness in it, sort of like Caney does and various other places where it isn't like, this exact street address is weird. It's a large area, but a lot of spook lights and will-o'-the-wisp style stuff floating around on the LBL itself. Very strange. I'd love to get a ton of video of something like that.
How cool would that be? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So one of the comments on YouTube, I saved this too, because this he said, my grandfather told me stories of strange lights that they would randomly see in the sky over their home when they lived there in the LBL still, and also in the woods themselves, like Enzo's talking about, and that his grandfather didn't believe in aliens, so he always thought the strange lights were ghosts. So, you have that situation again. We like to say it's all connected because it is, but at the same time, you've got different camps. Like this person believes in ghosts, but not aliens. So he's going to call these strange lights ghosts, as opposed to somebody that may believe more in aliens or whatever. They're going to call them something else. And Tony's saying fairies. Yeah.
It is probably behooves me to mention that the 37th parallel does indeed pass right through the LBL.
It does.
So
I was just thinking about that.
Yep. I mean, we're on that line right now. Pam and I.
Yeah.
We're on the line. I mean,
On the line.
we can go out the door and wave at it. And
Audios too, I think, aren't you?
Yeah.
in 30th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're in Arc City. You're right there.
Enzo's not far
That
off of
explains
it.
so much.
Yeah. Right.
All the weird crap that happens along the 37th parallel, and where does the LBL sit?
Right.
And Hopkinsville is right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only not that far away.
So
And there's
And
some
also-
pretty big Indian mounds in the area too, because Paducah, Kentucky
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
just right
it's
there.
almost
And
there.
when you come
Yep.
off that bridge, there's a huge mound that's like in the town itself. You know, it's not Paducah, but it's whatever that little town is when you come off the bridge. There's a huge Indian mound that's, you know, right there that they acknowledge as an Indian mound.
yeah,
But there's some other fun stuff out that way too. There's like, did anybody get stories on the Phantom Trucker?
I do have some Phantom trucker stuff. Just the basics of it.
Do you want to tell what you have?
All right. Well, see. Four Rivers Explorer collected LBL ghost stories, including a tale in which someone described being followed by a strange light and being told it sounded like the Phantom Trucker. It's your classic rural haunting thing where this truck or car, a lot of times it's a white car. Around here, it's a white car, follows you, and but doesn't do normal things like a car does. It vanishes or appears suddenly. You know, it'll be right on your rear end, and then all of a sudden it's gone.
Yep.
Or there'll be nothing coming behind you, and all of a sudden there's lights behind you.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially when you're out there, you know, on that road. It's called Trace, and there's nothing. You know, there's no lights out there. There's nothing, and
then
just
all of
all
a
of a
sudden
sudden,
they're right in your rear view mirror.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. There's some.
Always
there's
reminds me of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where he's at the railroad tracks looking at the map and he's waving the lights behind him on, and they just go up instead of driving around. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's
You are in my way. I'm just going to go over you.
ooh, craziness. One of the theories is that one of the rumors, it's said to be the ghost of a long haul trucker who died on the road. Others think it's something older and something that uses the shape of a truck as the way like other spirits use lanterns or orbs. So it's like more of a warning or a threat or even a presence, but it has turned into one of the most unnerving legends that come out of the LBL. And there's a couple of them, you know, you've got one of them, it's like the diesel engine that Mark's talking about that comes up behind you really fast. And then there's a separate one that's called the Black Cab Chase, which and this is just basically, I think it is the Phantom Trucker, but this is just a couple's story. They were out on the Trace late one night. They were headed back from a weekend trip, and the road was empty. The forest was dark, and the only light that was coming was from their headlights. And then all of a sudden, there's that semi right behind them. But it's a black cab. It's glossy. It's featureless. There's no company markings. It's close enough in the dark for them to tell there's no company markings on this thing. There's no trailer lights. There's nothing to identify it. And at first, you know, they were like, oh, it's just a semi, you know, just kind of roaring through because it's an easy road to get through. But it was coming up on them way too fast. It seems like it was accelerating behind them. So they were starting to freak out because all of a sudden they can see the reflection of their own taillights on its grill. That's how close it was. So the driver speeds up and the truck just matches them. And so they started to slow down, but the truck just surged forwards. And so they were like, we're getting ready to die. You know, this thing's just going to run right over top of us. But they said the truck moved with an unnatural smoothness. There was no engine noise, no gears shifting, no vibration. It was just a silent, relentless pursuit of them. So they're panicked. They take a really sharp turn onto a side road, but the truck follows them. So they swerved again and it stayed with them. And, you know, they were just freaking out. And then they approached this curve and it's really close to a dense stand of trees. And all of a sudden the truck veers off the road. It doesn't crash. It doesn't slow. It just glides into the woods through the trees. And so, the couple, they're like braced for the sound of this, explosion of this truck hitting trees. There's nothing. It's just like it shuts off. It's just like it moves into another dimension or something. It's just simply disappeared into the darkness.
Yeah, that's pretty common. A lot of times, the stories say that they went over a bridge. Time they got over the bridge, the truck was gone.
Mm-hmm.
They thought it went over into the river, but there's no sign of it.
Yep. This couple, they returned the next morning with a ranger, and they could see where they had, turned off because they had left marks on the pavement. And so they knew right where it was for sure. But the ground where the truck had entered the woods there was no tire tracks, there were no broken branches, no disturbed soil, no anything. It was just, the trees were just fine. So some say that black cab is the same phantom trucker that people hear on the trace. Others think it might be something a little bit darker, something that takes the form of a truck because it's more modern. But who knows? But the couple, they felt like this thing wasn't just chasing them. They felt like it was hurting them towards something. And so they don't know if it hadn't vanished when it did, and they don't know why it vanished either. But they really feel like they would not have made it out. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Pretty freaky.
well, and like I said, it really is kind of that stereotypical phantom car. I mean, let's just call it the phantom car phenomenon.
Yeah.
We've got one down here between here and Independence.
Yep.
That people
Really?
report every once in a while.
Yeah.
I've personally never seen it, and I'm on that road, dark 30 every freaking morning.
I've never seen it either. I think, hasn't Jess seen it?
I don't remember. I'll have to ask her.
Has. Yeah, we'll have to ask her. I think she
But
has.
I've heard lots of people tell that story around here, and it's pretty common across the country and probably across the world. And it's really similar to the phantom freight train phenomenon. So, this is one of those things like, is it really happening, or is it one of those things that people believe in so much that it actually causes it to happen?
Could be.
Because I mean, I really think a lot of these things across the
Really
country where we see the gravity hills and we see the hanging trees and the woman in white stories and all that stuff, that just seems like everybody's got one.
Yeah.
I feel like some of these, like this one, that could be just the mass consciousness of the people just making it happen.
Could be. Yeah. Like enough people believe in it, it creates an egregore of the or a tulpa kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A thought form.
Yeah. Very well could be.
Because this is, it always has truck drivers allegedly killed somewhere along the line and yada, yada, yada. It's
kind of like the spook light by the bridge, or by the railroad tracks. And it's supposed to be the guy that lost his head.
Yeah. The lantern.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those stories are all across the country. They're all a little bit different, but they're all pretty much the same. So
They
now,
all that
with the lights that are seen there in the woods and around, it would be really easy if you had natural or even paranormal lights that were being mistaken for something like that. Still wouldn't be normal, but I mean, it's one like, and that's kind of like what you said. Well, I'm looking for a ghost. I'm going to see ghosts. I'm looking for UFOs. I'm going to see UFOs. If somebody has been exposed to this story and sees a light behind them, they're not thinking, oh, that's one of these ball lightnings or funky orbs that's floating around out here. Strange lights in the woods. That's a phantom trucker following me. because that's the story I heard. So that's what I think it is, because I'm in a car.
Yeah.
Right.
If it was in the
You're in a
woods,
car,
you
you're on
wouldn't-
the road. There's two glowing somethings behind you. It must be headlights.
Yeah.
and if you're out on a lake, then there's
Totally both.
something totally different. So it could be the Phantom Trucker could be the same as all these other lights. It's just on the highway, so they think it's the Phantom Trucker.
Could be. I mean, they're not hearing an engine. They're not hearing anything. It's just
So-
these headlight things.
So that could be just the orbs, the spook lights that they've been seeing out there in the woods and on the lakes, and
Mhm.
it's just more widespread instead of just one spot.
We're talking about orbs and talking about the Lantern Man. There's actually a Lantern Man of Turkey Bay that comes from the LBL. Did anybody run across that?
Oh, what's that one?
I've heard of it. I did not come across it while I was looking for stuff for the show. But again, your Lantern Man, orbs. You've got orbs out there in the woods. Maybe what all these stories are with the lights are all the same thing. Depending on where you are, is what you think it might be.
Yep. Now so the Lantern Man of Turkey Bay, this legend, it goes back decades. You've got campers and hikers and night fishermen, and they're all telling the same story, which is interesting. There's a solitary light that moves through the trees, and it bobs gently like somebody carrying an old-fashioned lantern would, but it appears deep in the woods, far off the trails, and it seems to move with a steady, deliberate pace. And people have watched it to the point to where they can tell you the light, it's like a warm, a golden flickering, unmistakably like a fire-like glow to it. It's not a flashlight, it's not a headlamp. It feels like it's something older than that. So people who've seen it, they say that it moves with purpose, as if someone's walking like a familiar path. But when they call it out, the light doesn't respond. And when they try to follow it, it just slips deeper into the trees, and it's always just out of reach. What does that sound like? You've got a group of campers. They said that they watched the lantern move along a ridge for nearly 10 minutes, and they thought it was a lost tiger. So they grabbed their own lights and went to help. But when they got to the ridge, the forest was empty. There weren't any footprints. There were no broken branches, no signs that anyone had been there at all. And then there's another witness. He was a hunter that claimed that the light approached his camp late one night, and it stopped just beyond the tree line. And he said it just hovered there, and it was, swaying gently as if someone were standing still and holding on to it. And when he stepped towards it, it blinked out just like that and left the woods in total darkness. And, you've got the theories of what it is. Some say that it's the spirit of a settler that died searching for his missing family after a winter storm. Others believe he was a moonshiner that used a lantern to signal partners across the hills and met a violent end for it. And then there's also this darker version that the Lantern Man is a warning that appears before accidents or disappearances in the bay. So it's a harbinger rather than a haunting itself. But others say that the Lantern Man is a guide, that he walks the same routes that he walked in life, carrying a light for travelers who will never see him clearly and never catch up. But people who have seen it, they say they feel different afterwards. They feel quieter, they feel heavier, as if something ancient has been experienced. And I think that's kind of cool. That's kind of freaky.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me if there were real moonshiners out there, though.
Oh no, for sure. I'm sure there are.
I kind of snickered when you said that, because for a lot of people there in that part of the country, moonshiners are kind of like, the like a Robin Hood style. They're breaking the law, but you kind of like them. And you're kind of rooting for them, kind of a thing.
Just drop me off a pint and we're all good.
Yep.
Nowadays, more than moonshiners, it might be meth makers out there.
Oh, a little shake and bake going on out there.
No, people generally don't like meth makers, but there's something of mostly, I think dating back, there's some romanticism about people that do that, moonshining and stuff like that, because dating back from like during when you couldn't have alcohol in this country and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then bootleggers, there's a whole history of people running the shine across the mountains and stuff like that, selling it in some place where they're not allowed to sell it, things like that. It's funny how romanticized it is.
Yeah, and
hunters.
lots of people had stills. Not all of them was moonshiners, but lots of people had stills. Were kind of the local heroes. We go
Yep.
see Uncle Charlie. Uncle Charlie's got a fresh batch.
And for some people, it's like a cultural thing. It's a family thing, to have that secret still out there, and they've got their special batch that they, just kind of keep with their friends and family, kind of thing. Sure, it's not legal to do, but it's a hobby now. It's fun.
See something didn't the Supreme Court make a ruling on that the whole amendment was trash or something? I don't know.
That was recent too, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was something about making alcohol at home.
It's not outlawed now.
Yeah, the Supreme Court said no, you can't regulate that.
Yeah, I did. There's something. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't recall specifics, but I do.
Yeah, it's been a month or two ago.
Yeah.
I just saw it while I was doom scrolling. I don't remember I ignore half that crap.
Yeah.
Sometimes it sticks with me.
Okay, so we've gone through ghosts, we've gone through spook lights, we've gone through the phantom truckers and things like that. So one that we haven't hit yet is silent watchers, which I think is kind of a spooky one. So you've got this place, Land Between the Lakes. We've talked about this all night. It's full of abandoned homesteads and forgotten cemeteries and things like that. But there's also these shadows that seem to hang around everywhere. And I'm not talking just regular shadows. I'm talking like tall, thin silhouettes that move where no person should be. Figures that stand just beyond the tree line, watching and waiting, and always seem to be marked by the same detail. They have these glowing eyes that look like little embers in the dark. And so some say that they're, spirits of the displaced families who once lived there, but others think that there's something older, which I kind of feel like that too. They talk about them maybe being guardians or watchers or even predators that have called these woods home for a really long time. But there's a couple of different stories that I pulled on those. Did any of you guys pull stuff on that, on the watchers?
I did not.
I had nothing on that.
Yeah. So let me find a good one here.
Well, while you're looking for that, I'll fill in for just a second here to Mark's thing about the recent legal changes about that. As of April 2026, a federal appeals court ruled the 158-year-old ban on home distilling unconstitutional. However,
that's it.
This ruling is currently being appealed by the government, meaning it is not yet fully legal nationwide. So,
darn it. You can still make like a gallon a year in your own home in most states.
Yeah, no one's going to come after you for that, I think.
The equipment is easily available on eBay. I have a list.
That's funny.
I think it's actually a valid survival skill, I think, knowing how to do that. You can use that for a lot of things, medicinal purposes.
You can use it to fuel your car.
Yeah, use it as a fuel source. Yeah.
Ian said, moonshining is an American cultural pastiming. Everyone should be permitted to repurpose their bathtub, right?
Some people I know need to use their bathtub for something besides moonshine.
That's a valid point as well.
Wait, he's not looking at me, is he?
That's funny. Hopefully not, huh?
No, you smelled fine last time I saw you.
So we've got these shadows, right? So there was a hiker. He said that he saw a shadow figure standing in the doorway of an old stone foundation as if he were guarding the threshold of it. And when he blinked, it was gone, but there was still that red glow that lingered for a minute, kind of like an after image burn where he could see where the eyes were, which I thought that was an interesting way
When you
to
blink, you
describe
can
it.
still see it.
Yeah. And there was another visitor that reported seeing multiple figures around a collapsed barn site and that they stood in a loose circle, perfectly still, and their eyes were glowing faintly in the dusk. And when she stepped closer, they just kind of melted backwards into the tree and vanished without a sound, which that's not freaky at all.
No, that's not. Yeah.
Not concerning a bit.
Perfectly normal.
Perfectly normal for a summoning circle to be in the middle of the woods.
Of course.
Yeah.
Where else would you find it? Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, how else do you summon a demon?
Oh, no joke. And then you've
I don't
got,
know.
there's a whole separate section they call the campsite watchers. It's like the crackle of a fire kind of brings them in, you know. But the stories all usually start out the same way. A camper wakes up in the middle of the night and there's no sound, there's no reason. They're just all of a sudden jolted awake. And they sit up and they look toward the tent flap or the fire pit outside. And that's when they see them. There's like dozens of eyes glowing red or orange, and they're hovering in the darkness between the trees. So, you know, at first the camper's like, okay, they're animals, they're deer, they're raccoon, maybe coyotes or something. But then they notice how high they are and the spacing of them and the way that the eyes aren't blinking and they aren't swaying. They're not moving like any creature that they've ever seen. And the eyes are just, they're too high off the ground to be an animal. They're holding too still. They're a little bit too human as well. So one group of campers said they saw at least 6 pairs of eyes watching them from the tree line. And when they shined a flashlight toward the shapes, the eyes did not reflect like an animal's would. Instead, it seemed to dim around them, as if the shadow was absorbing the flashlight itself. And then another camper described waking up to the sound of soft footsteps that were circling their tent. And when he unzipped the flap, he saw 3 sets of glowing eyes staring back at him from the darkness. But the figures were like impossibly tall and they were completely silent. And when he shouted, they didn't flinch at all. They just simply faded into the trees. But those eyes lingered. They were the last thing to disappear.
That is not creepy at all.
Right? Freaks me out. So there's a lot of people that believe maybe the campsite watchers are connected to the beast of LBL, like lesser forms, maybe like scouts or some kind of kin of theirs. But others think that they're actual shadow people that are drawn to the human presence. They're not approaching, they're not attacking, but they are observing, like they're waiting for something or they're trying to make a decision, which is terrifying. So campers, again, they've got this same feeling out in this place. Those who've seen the glowing eyes in the forest never feel the same afterward. They don't trust the darkness anymore. Silence feels different. It feels heavy. So yeah, I don't know. You may be in for a real experience, Scotty.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, yeah, this sounds like a great place to go. I think I'll go out there, you know, go camp out, spend a couple of nights. It sounds great.
Doesn't it? It's fabulous. Just don't watch this back before you go.
He's gonna come back completely
White
white
hair.
hair.
All his hair is white. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, that actually brings
Eyes
up a good
react.
question for you, Scotty. Is what would be like your personal line if you're out camping, you're just sitting outside at night, and you start seeing like red eyes out in the woods, and you start seeing lights floating around, will-o'-the-wisp style. You start hearing cries. At what point is it you're like, I'm out, I'm done, I can't do this anymore? Where is your line?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't really know. I mean, I've left the woods when I've heard like what sound like owls from one spot, and then it like was at a different spot. But it was just odd because it didn't quite sound like an owl, but it was like it was surrounding me, and there was only one way to get out. So I took that way out. I mean, I got out of there pretty quick. I just left.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stick around and go see what this is. I mean,
See, I totally
gonna-
take you for the guy who would roll over and say, "Leave me alone. I'm trying to freaking sleep."
I mean, that might be a possibility. I guess it just depends on how tired I am then.
So what
I
I'm
guess
hearing
we shall
is Marty
see.
has survival skills. And
Yeah,
Mark
I guess we shall see. I mean,
Just speak crossly to them. Maybe
Let
they'll
me
leave.
sleep. I'll leave in the morning.
that might be the best option. Just say, you know what? I'm going back to sleep. But,
Leave me alone or cuddle up. One of the two. I don't give a shit.
yeah,
You suddenly start rustling away from the campsite.
right.
craziness.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be interesting. That's all I gotta say. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm really looking forward to going to see the cemeteries, and I love going looking at cemeteries. I just love to go to them and walk around, and
Oh, it's history. I mean, that's
Yeah.
history you can go and see and touch.
Yep.
right. I
Just
just
don't
wish
break
they could talk to me, some way.
Maybe they
But-
can.
They all have a
Yeah.
story, and it's so
Yeah.
fascinating.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
there's a few. I'm in a couple of Facebook groups of people that really like cemeteries, and they'll go out and take pictures of them and post the headstones and stuff. And then
Mhm.
people that have access to, different ways to search things, they'll pull up the information that they can find on it. So if somebody's out and like, hey, can somebody tell me about this headstone? It's in this cemetery in this state. And there's always
Yeah.
somebody that will pull up stuff. They'll pull up death certificates. They'll pull up all kinds of stuff.
One thing I really do like to do is I like to find Civil War soldiers and
Yeah.
look at their headstones. And then what I'll do is like take a picture of their headstones, and then I'll look their name up, and then I'll see what battles they were in, and that type
Oh,
of stuff. And
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, history's all
It's
around.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is
It
cool.
is.
So
We are not alone. Julie likes cemeteries too. Everybody I
Yeah.
don't know very many people that don't like them. Of course.
there's a
Yeah, you're
creepy
gonna end up there
cemetery.
anyway, so you might as well like them now.
Right.
There's a creepy cemetery out east of Newkirk called I think it's called Wolf Creek Cemetery. Every time I go there, I have this uneasy feeling like I'm being watched, and it don't matter if it's during the daytime, at night, it don't matter. And it's the only cemetery I've ever been where I felt that. So
Interesting.
I don't know.
Like there's something there.
Right.
Cool. Okay, the last one that we haven't talked about yet that I'd like to kind of hit on a little bit before we end all this is the Vampire Hotel.
Oh yeah.
So, who wants to start on that one?
Actually, before we jump in there, one last weird thing is I always hear people. I ran across it like everybody's little stories. Is they throw in a lot of black helicopters, mysterious government black helicopters flying over the OBL with no markings or they're Blackhawks out of what is it, Fort Campbell, which is only about like 30 miles away, and it's actually just south of Hopkinsville. So it's not unusual to see them in the area, and if they're all blacked out or whatever, they're probably doing night vision training. And there's nothing more fun for helicopter pilots to use their night vision to spy on campers that don't know that they're there. So they like doing that. But in general, it's not a weird thing to see that there. I don't know why people get super excited about it. Because even in the daytime, if you're looking at a black, even during the daytime, looking up close at a Black Hawk helicopter, you can't see the numbers or any markings or anything on it. It's just the way it's painted. It's by design. It's camouflage.
Yeah. I mean, they land out where I work all the time. Well, not all the time, but 2 or 3 times a year during the day, and more times than that during the night for fuel. And yeah, you got to be up close before you can see any markings on them. You're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other night when I was on that flight tracker, I was out there. I was out there by the LBL just looking, and there was like 4 Blackhawks that were up in the air, and it was like I don't know, 11:30 at night, maybe. So
Yeah.
I would imagine
And
it's not an uncommon thing. It's just the way, being so
uh,
close, you know.
and another thing, as far as like all the different flight trackers that we have access to
Right.
as civilians, is
Yeah.
those aren't 100% accurate. It's not like your own personal radar on your phone.
Right.
It's other people have receiver transmitters at their house that pick up all of those things, and they're connected to the internet, and it all gets uploaded to
Yeah.
whatever service it is you're using. And
Right.
when it comes to military aircraft like a Black Hawk, if they're doing formation training or something like that, part of their training is to turn off their transponder because you don't want to be
Yeah.
transmitting anything if you're
A
going
lot
into
of
a hostile environment. And when they turn them back on, when they like leave the air, because when they leave the training area, it's supposed to always be on. FAA rules and all that. Sometimes what happens is on those trackers, it doesn't circulate through all the time. So because I've been here where I live, just outside of Wichita, and I'll hear a helicopter go over. I'll look at my flight tracker, and it's not on because it came from like outside of that area, or just didn't. It kind of gets missed. It's not a perfect thing, those flight trackers, because that's the other part of I saw a scary unmarked black helicopter and it wasn't on the flight tracker. Yeah, there's a reason for that.
That's funny.
Did you
Alright.
guys hear anything? Did you hear anything about the guy that lived in the purple van out there in the LBL?
I saw a couple of stories about him. He's freaky.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird, a guy living in a purple van out there in the LBL, and he, maybe he's just a grumpy old man. He just wanted to be left alone, but they were saying that he was threatening people and,
Yeah.
different things, but I didn't really find much more of anything else about it. It's just another creepy story from the area,
Yeah. And I found one picture of the van, and it
Yeah.
is a little kind of creepy looking.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, for sure.
It almost looks like it was spray painted purple,
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah. It's a little rough.
I generally don't trust people that sleep in vans.
Especially white vans, right?
Yeah, free candy scrawled on the side. Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Oh, speaking of, do you guys know what shoes do serial killers? What is it? I'm sorry, I can't remember. Hold on a second.
Bum, bum, bum.
Okay.
Scotty, while you're
Getting-
looking that up.
I'm gonna get the button ready for when this joke comes out.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I'll get it here in a minute. You guys go ahead. Let me think for a second.
Oh,
Okay, cool. Let's hit the vampire cult really quick before we run out of time, because I want to make sure I don't have a lot to say about this because it's a little wild, but it's also got some true life tragedy attached to it. So back before the Vampire Hotel is what it's called, back before that ever took root in the land the land between the lakes, it was actually a true story. There was a real case, and it was really tragic. So it kind of blurred the line between, fantasy and true horror kind of thing. But so back in Murray, Kentucky, there was a 16-year-old named Rod Farrell, and he liked to LARP, do the live action role play. And he liked to LARP as vampires. And he had this persona. He claimed to be a 500-year-old vampire named Visago. And so, it just sounded really kind of strange and everything. And but he had one of those personalities that kids gravitated towards him. So that's never a good thing. That's where the cult portion of it comes along. He had that
charisma.
enigmatic personality, so they weren't known as like this sprawling cult or anything, but they were just kind of a cluster. He pulled in these troubled, isolated teens, kids that dealt with like family conflicts or loneliness or, invisibility. He offered them something dramatic to cling to. He offered them this mythology of immortality and rebellion and all this dark fantasy. So basically, there's a place in the LBL, and it used to be a homestead, and I can't remember the lady's name. I want to say it was Dorothy. It was her house, and they chose this to inhabit. There wasn't much left of it, rather than just concrete slabs and pillars. But
Dorothy B. Keith.
was it Dorothy?
Dorothy B. Keith.
Dorothy B. Keith. Okay.
The house was built sometime after 1945 when Kentucky Lake was built.
Yeah. And here's kind of, you can see on the map that I just pulled up where it was located in the LBL, and the picture that's beside here. It's hard to see, but this is the only picture I could find of this place, because after this tragedy happened, it was demolished. But basically, on Dorothy's old property, they had spray painted Vampire Hotel on the side of it. But basically, so there's this guy, he pulls like these kids in, gets them LARPing, but then they take it a step further and take it into real life. He ends up going with one of the girls in the group to Florida, and they murder her family, 2 members of her family, and they are caught. He is sentenced to life in prison. I mean, it's a whole big thing. So it's one of these deals where, this wasn't that long ago, honestly. This was 1996 is when
96, 97, yeah.
Yeah, when it hit the papers and everything. So, I guess it was late November of 96. They traveled from Kentucky to Eustis, Florida. They picked up a girl who wanted to run away with them. And, according to early reports, Farrell entered the girl's home and bludgeoned her parents, Richard and Ruth Windorf, to death with a crowbar. The group fled in the family's car, and it sparked a multi-state manhunt that ended in Baton Rouge. It was heinous crime. It was brutal, man. It showed a chilling lack of remorse on Farrell's character of himself. When he was questioned, he spoke openly about his vampire persona. Oh, he saved this girl from what he believed was an oppressive home, but she denied ever wanting her parents harmed. So, you've got 2 sides to that story, but it was awful. So it really sucks that these kids got involved in this, and that this guy was so crazy to begin with. And it's kind of like one fueled the other. You've got somebody that wants to be this vampire, and you've got these people that are following him and boosting his ego and things like that. So yeah, I couldn't get away from tonight's show without at least touching on that.
Yeah.
Because it was a thing. It
Yeah.
really
And it was terrible.
was.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful. But that was the big thing. There was you could go myth versus reality, but honestly, I don't want to give it that much airtime. You know what I mean? Other than to acknowledge
Yeah.
it, just say our hearts go out to the family, because that's horrible. And it really wasn't that long ago. So
Yeah, there's people that are actually like that is way creepier than to me than a dog man or something like
Yeah,
that.
I'm not afraid of Dogman. I'm not afraid of ghosts or vampires or whatever. I'm afraid of people.
Yeah.
No, 100%. Every time.
We talk about a lot of stuff online, but there are real monsters in the world, and they walk among us, and you can't tell the difference.
Nope. That's the
And
scariest part
that's
of all.
probably the scariest thing we've ever said.
Yep. There's page 2 of one of the articles on it, but it was bad. But if you want to dig into it more, I would encourage you to do so.
There was a lot of hype to, because it was one of those things where bad news sells newspapers. Honestly, and it's still that way today, except it's the media, the
Right.
social media and whatnot.
Yep.
Bad news sells.
It does. So we're getting down close to time. And since Jess is not here, we normally do notebook time, notebook games. We can't do that tonight. So what we decided to do was a little bit of trivia time. And no better way to get out of the yuck of all of that than a few rounds of trivia here, huh? So
Excellent.
what I did is I pulled trivia. Some of it will be related to the LBL. Some of it will be related more regional to like Kentucky, Appalachia, even into the Ozarks. So we'll just go through it. Some of it's hard, some of it's not. So we'll see what you guys think. So first one, what hybrid creature is the Pope Lick monster said to resemble?
Ooh.
That was not too long ago.
Anybody have a clue?
You know better than that.
Let me switch back over here. It
Yo,
was
man.
yeah. Remember the Pope Lick? We just talked about when did was
Yeah,
it
it's like
show?
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago.
years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the one on the Trestle Bridge there, just east of Louisville. That supposedly the goat man there, the Pope Lick monster, has psychic powers that would lure people onto the trestle when the train was coming, and there's nowhere to go once the train comes, and they would fall to their doom or get hit by the train.
One or the other,
And,
huh?
This was also the one where I think it was an urban legend that blew out of control because there was a gentleman who was had a traveling preacher type show with a homemade cart pulled by about a dozen or so goats.
Yeah, it's a good show. And we thought we were leaving Kentucky behind, but with the LBL, we did end up doing another week of it. So yeah, it's a fun one. If you guys missed it, you might go back and check it out. Okay, next question. The Hopkinsville goblins were described as A, 3-foot silver beings, B, winged humanoids, or C, floating jellyfish.
I know that one.
Let's jump in. What's your guess?
It's obviously A.
It's
Yes. Gotta be A.
I told you some of these are relatively easy. So yeah.
silver beings. When shot with a rifle, sounded like shooting into a bucket. Made a ricochet. Kind of sound.
Oh, that's better. You did a better ricochet than I did. Okay, next one. In what river did the green clawed beast allegedly attack a swimmer in 1955?
I don't think we talked about that one, did we, on the show?
I'm not.
I'm clueless.
Ooh, I don't know on that one.
It is the Ohio
Oh,
River.
of course. Having grown up on the Ohio River, I'm surprised there's only one green clawed beast. We always used to have this tri-state fair and regatta where they did boat racing out there on the river, and I knew some of the people that worked on it. And every once in a while, one of them would like take a sharp turn and would flip over. As soon as they flip over, they sink right to the bottom. And they couldn't pay divers enough to go down there and retrieve these boats because the catfish were 6 to 7 feet long that were hanging out on the bottom of the river.
Holy cow. That's
Well, you
crazy.
know, there actually is this is totally off subject. There's actually documentation from the Spanish going across the country about having eaten with an Indian tribe on what's now known as the Mississippi River. They had got a stranded catfish that the Spaniards estimated to be in excess of 400 pounds.
Holy moly.
That's a big boy there.
That is
Yeah.
a big fish.
Dang. He'd catch you back, probably.
Yep.
Ugh. Okay, next question. What eerie feature is the Ozark howler known for?
I know that one too.
Do you? Anybody else want to jump in? If not, take it, Mark.
One set of legs is longer than the other, so it can run on top of the ridge.
You're right.
Ah.
That's not the one that's on here, though. But you are correct.
Oh,
No.
Glowing red eyes and a scream that sounds like a demon elk.
a demon elk.
Demon elk.
That cracked me up. Yeah,
You forgot about the one with the legs, didn't you?
I did. I forgot about the legs till you said that. That's funny. Ian said it's eerie howl.
I mean,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is a howler.
Sounds like a demon elk.
you would howl too.
Whatever
if
that
one
sounds
set
like.
of legs was like a foot longer than the other.
No kidding. That's funny. Okay, what are the names of the famous spook light on the Oklahoma-Missouri border? What names does it go by? It's got more than one.
I don't know.
It's got 3.
What are they? Because I don't think anybody's going to know that one.
I really thought everybody would know that one.
The
Nobody knows.
hornet spook light, the jopping
hornet.
spook light, and can't remember the other one.
The Miami spook light. Miami
Spook
spook light.
Yeah, because it's out there in the middle
Just
of
got one.
Yep. Ginger got one. The hornet. Yep. That is it. And we can't say Miami. It's Miami.
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 But it's spelled like Miami.
You got to say it all southern like.
Yeah, you got to
That-
put
is that
the
a-
on the end.
Miami. That's where all them kids are going to get married.
Yep. Miami, Oklahoma.
Miami,
That's where
Oklahoma.
my parents got married, was Miami.
Yep, happens all the time.
Okay, the next one. I know Scotty knows this. What state is home to the Boggy Creek Monster?
You want me to answer it?
Go ahead.
Good.
Yeah, it's Arkansas.
Daisy got it for you, it sounds like.
Hey.
Yeah, they're going nuts. My 2 dogs are. Yeah, if you can hear them in the background.
South
They think it's
Arkansas.
feeding time or something.
Oh.
It's always feeding time.
Yeah.
What was unusual about the Falk monster tracks? Speaking of the Boggy Creek Monster. Does anybody know that one?
It was
got
this
it too.
prince, wasn't it?
Mhm. It was.
Yeah, it was like 3-toed or something.
Yep. It has 3 toes. Good job.
Caught in a bear trap.
Sure,
Yeah,
got
you
the
can just call
pronunciation
me-
on that one.
Yeah, when it comes to Falk, Arkansas, you can just call me Lyle Blackburn.
Okay, the next question. Which U.S. agency ran Project Blue Book? Enzo.
The chair
That was the
force.
post office. It was the post office.
The post
I
office
mean,
Project Blue Book.
as well as it seems to have been handled that much. No, just kidding.
You want to answer?
Bureau
Enzo?
of Gases and Swamps.
I think you had a little bit more close association to it than that, didn't you?
I do. That would be the United States.
United States Air Force.
Oh, I jumped right across it. There we go.
That's
The Air Force. Next one. What were the Kelly Hopkinsville goblins supposedly impervious to?
oh,
We're throwing out the big words. Chair airfare.
Like country music or something.
I wish I was impervious to that.
What did the family do to them that did
But
not
it's
affect them?
gunfire is what the answer.
they do like a person in Hopkinsville would do back in those days, and they open fire,
Have you been to Kansas? lately?
Yosemite Sam style. Boo, boo, boo.
Yep. Too funny. Kind words and sweet looks is what Ian said. That's funny. What shape was the UFO in the Cash Landrum incident?
Diamond shape.
Very nice. Yay.
That's the one where the Cash Landrum family they're driving along and they had to come to a screeching stop because there's this huge, like, diamond-shaped thing floating in this road above them that's putting off so much heat and light that the mom, her like handprint is like melted into the dashboard where they're holding on, and they all seem to suffer because it was mom, the daughter, and her son, the daughter's son, were in the car, and they all seem to suffer radiation like damage afterwards. Oh, and after sitting there confused looking at this thing, a swarm of helicopters comes in to escort these diamond-shaped craft away.
Yep. Here come the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Maybe it was before Blackhawks, but
I think it was.
I think those were Huey's actually.
maybe a few decades before. Very cool. Okay. What country did the Rendlesham Forest incident occur in?
Ooh,
Everybody
this one
knows
not
that
too
one.
long
Ian's
ago.
going
Yeah,
to get
we
that
did.
one real quick, though.
we did it.
Yeah. Ian, you're up.
We're going to let you have it, buddy.
It was France, where all the werewolves are from.
That's right. It's the Lougarou country.
Hey,
Yay. Ian said England. He is correct.
did a good breakdown on that a few weeks back.
Ianville is what Julie said. She is correct as well.
Ianville.
Is that like Whoville? Okay, the next one. What method did Betty and Barney Hill use to recall details of their UFO encounter?
Somebody?
Hypno regression therapy.
That is correct.
Very nice.
Which the audio from some of those are still available. You can find those online, and it is horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It will make you understand a little bit more, yeah, how absolutely terrified they truly were. So, yeah, scary stuff. Okay, what horror novel was inspired by the Stanley Hotel?
Oh, that's too easy, Pam.
I know, I told you some of them were easy.
Oh, I'll let somebody else get it.
No, go ahead.
Go for it, Mark.
Well, of course it's The Shining.
Yay! It's the Shannon, according to
Shannon. Yeah.
What
do you want to get sued?
Yeah.
The Shining.
The Shannon off the Simpsons. What part of the Queen Mary is considered the most haunted?
I don't know.
Is it the swimming pool?
You would think, because the swimming pool is considered haunted, but it's
I
not the most haunted.
Oh,
Okay.
the
I don't know.
The engine room and door number 13.
Ian got it. Ian said engine room.
Nice. Good job. Julie said underneath. She's not wrong.
I was going to say poop deck, but because I don't know anything about it.
It's funny.
The pooper deck. What?
What Tennessee family was tormented by the Bell Witch?
The family?
Mhm. What was the name of the family that was tormented by the Bell Witch?
I don't recall the name of the family.
I do not either.
John Bell, wasn't it?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah. The Bell family was
Okay.
tormented by the Bell Witch.
Burn.
Good job, Scott.
Buried in, yeah.
Yep. The Bell family. John Bell was the father's name. Okay, at Waverly Hills, what was the body chute originally used for? The ding ding ding.
Ooh.
The doorbell. family.
Originally,
Mhm.
dumping trash. I don't know.
It's, I don't know. I assumed that it was always used for shuttling the dead out to the parking area from away
that's
so
what I
people
thought.
wouldn't see it.
You were correct. Transporting deceased patients discreetly. And I added in a little bit more to that. Historians estimate that 6,000 plus total deaths over Waverly's decades of operations occurred. If you spread that across roughly 50 years, with the highest concentration being during the 30s during the TB outbreaks, that averages to 1 to 3 per day during the worst years. So 1 to 3 bodies per day were being sent down the chute, and it came out at the Dixie Highway, where they would load it into trucks and remove them. There's estimate. I know some of the rumors are that there was up to 60 some per day. They only had 500 people in Waverly at any one time, so that was not sustainable for that number of people to have died per day. But they estimate, based on this, it estimates about 1 to 3 a day, which is still horrific.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it is.
awful. But, yep.
Yeah, my friend Karen from Australia that I do a show with on Saturdays caught some interesting audio there down the body chute. She it's kind of a long haul because they went all the way to the very bottom of it, and it's if I recall correctly, one side it's like just a slope so that they could put a gurney down there without, and then there's stairs off to the side. Either way, and it starts off really high and slopes down to a lower section there where like the back parking area behind the whole sanitarium was, and it's quite a hike coming back because it's a slow gradual rise and you got to walk a long way. You're kind of huffing and blowing a little bit when you're there. And she just had her video camera on and just walking, and nobody was saying anything. And she's like, da, 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 da. And you can clearly hear someone else doing a kind of melody to da, 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 da. It wasn't her, and it wasn't the other two people with her, because she heard it, not through the video camera or afterwards, because she stopped and like, are you singing along with me? What are you doing? And she's like, I didn't say anything. What are you talking about? So weird.
That's wild. So cool. I've never been. I would like to go. I think that's like one of those bucket list places, you know. Okay, next question. We're getting into LBL stuff. The beast of LBL. What kind of creatures is it most commonly described as? So this is kind
vampires. I just learned that.
This is kind of were you listening to the show thing?
It's Le French werewolf.
Yes, French werewolves.
The werewolf de France.
We
Got me on this one. I don't
Purple
know.
van guy. It's the purple van guy.
Purple van guy.
Van guy, okay.
A massive upright wolf-like creature, basically a dog man with the Jim Bro shoulders.
Oh yeah, there's that one too.
Never trusted Jim Bro.
Nope. For sure.
What's your max, bro?
According to one of the most infamous LBL stories, what was found at the abandoned campsite? So this is the story about the family that was massacred. What was found?
Did we even talk about that tonight?
We kind of glazed over it a little bit. Ooh.
I don't remember.
Stumped. A shredded RV and no surviving family members.
An RV. I thought it was just like the tents were slashed up.
That was not the massacre, but there was a massacre that occurred in the 80s, and the RV was ripped to shreds, and there was a family of 4 that was deceased in pieces. I don't know how deep we got into that one.
I don't think we talked about that particular one.
I think we glazed over it a little bit. Okay. The Phantom Trucker on the trace is described as A, a glowing semi with no driver, B, a black pickup that vanishes, or C, a rust red 18-wheeler that appears behind you at impossible speed.
Impossible speed.
Jim Bros usually forget leg day. That is true. So, did you say C, Enzo?
I just like the phrase "impossible speed."
Oh, gotcha. You're correct, though.
Yep.
You blink and it's in your rear view truck is C. Yes, that is the one that is most known.
Not a
as.
warp.
Okay, what was the Vampire Hotel before it became a paranormal hotspot?
Well, it was an abandoned vacation home with a lovely walkout basement and patio.
Considered a resort, abandoned resort structure, because nothing says vacation like concrete pillars and rumors of bloodsuckers.
I'm going to book it right now.
Right? What color are the glowing eyes most commonly reported in LBL shadow entity sightings?
Bloodshot.
You said Werewolf Hotel. Yep. Nudist Colony.
The Lugaroo.
The Lugaroo. They are red or amber, the universal "you should leave now" colors.
Amber is a universal leave. Okay.
Yes. I don't
Whoop, whoop.
know. What unusual behavior do the LBL lake lights show that makes them different from boat lights? We did talk
Sometimes
about
they go below the water.
They go below the water and then they go straight up and disappear.
Yes.
shoot up in the sky. They rise vertically above the water and shoot into the sky. Very normal lake behavior,
Sure.
That's what I do at the lake.
Right? Shoot into the sky.
Well, yeah,
Sheer
that's,
possible
that's-
speed.
that's what happens when a blimp drops its ballast.
Oh, boo. True or false? Many LBL ghost sightings occur near former town sites displaced during TVA buyouts. True or false?
It is true.
True.
It is true. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense. What road in LBL is known for phantom vehicles and cryptid encounters?
Like the road name?
The road name. We've talked about it numerous times.
Did we?
Yep.
I can't remember the highway number, but they call it the Trace.
The Trace. Yeah, that is correct. The Trace.
I only use
Yeah.
GPS.
Well, I only use Buffalo
I-
Trace whiskey.
And my
Buffalo.
GPS takes me where I'm supposed to be, not where I want to go.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay. Ghosts in old school uniforms are often reported in the LBL. What era do they appear to come from? Oh, boo.
30s.
Yeah, I think you're right, Scotty. Great guess.
That's a really
I
good
think
guess.
you might have missed a slide.
I think I missed a slide. I think you were correct. CCC stands for Civilian Conservation Corps, which is the WPA. So, yeah. Darn it.
There we have it.
LBL sits between two lakes. Name the lakes.
What is it?
One of
Kentucky
them
and
is
One of them
Barkley?
is the Kentucky Lake. I can't remember the other one.
That's correct.
Is it
Everyone remembers the
Barkley?
Kentucky Lake. The other one, I think it's like Berkeley,
Yep.
something like that.
Yep, Scotty got it.
Charles Barkley. What?
That was it. That was the last one.
That may explain some of the monster sightings.
I mean, right?
Quite as
Oh,
exciting as Notebooks, but yay, kind of fun.
So I remember the joke now.
Oh, cool.
So the joke was, what kind of shoes do kidnappers wear? White Vans. Perfect.
It was pretty good. Actually. Too
All right.
funny. All righty. Well,
That's the way you end the show right there.
Yep.
that did it, huh?
Yep. But
Nowhere to go but up from here. It's
Woo.
well, any show I'm on has nowhere to go but up because I'm pretty much rock bottom.
That's right.
a fine job. Did a great job tonight.
It was fun. It was a good evening. Thanks so much for you guys being here with me tonight. I appreciate it. Scotty, it's a lot of fun to have you on. We'll have to have you back again.
Yeah, once I got it all lined out, it worked out.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you
sure.
for having us all.
Absolutely. So everybody be sure to tune in 2 weeks when we're back with a new episode. Jess will be back then too. So please be sure to leave comments, likes, shares, podcast reviews. We appreciate all of it. It helps us out. And the biggest part, remember to keep it weird and everything's connected. So good night, everybody.
Weird should be no
Night.
problem. Night, people.